you're saying that, you know, in the Philippines, you need this big area so that, you know, the kite or the tether doesn't get caught up in the trees. Does that mean you're looking at more remote areas rather than urban? Because you're also talking about maybe retrofitting some solar fields, right, with your system.
Yes.
Where does it make the most sense for us as you see it?
Yes, the most sense at that point of time I see in the electrification of remote islands,
okay,
or remote areas.
So these are off-grid
systems,
okay,
or looking into applications where we can place it into an existing mini-grid or microgrid,
okay,
to electrify a barangay, for example, or a dedicated off-taker.
Okay.
That is also in perspective to the coasts,
okay,
a meaningful solution.
Okay. Now, when you're talking about 200 kilowatts, I mean, how many homes can that sustain? I know that's a difficult question for you because I'm not sure if you're familiar with the household consumption here in the Philippines, but obviously it's not going to be the same as you would find in Europe or you know, in the United States, but an estimate maybe.
Well, as you said, in Europe we have a Sambov rule. 1 megawatt is around 2,000 to 2,500 households,
right,
but you know also in Europe and the US we have much higher consumption of energy.
Right.
I can only guess based on the consumption I see here in the country. I would say with one kite we are somewhere around 600 to 800 households we can electrify with that system.
Okay. All right. And then you know, it's interesting because you guys are coming in at a time when the national government is devolving a lot of resources to the local governments. Now, presumably the local governments will have, you know, more elbow room now to do more investing in these things.
Yeah.
What is the investment amounts that we're talking about? I mean, what do they need to look at, you know, if they want to have the system in their area?
Yeah, we cannot so easily compare the prices of a solar system
because they're remote.
No, not only that. I mean, solar has a history of 35, 40 years already.
Okay.
Right? So when you see the first solar systems which came up, we were talking about 1 kilowatt for 10,000 euros.
Okay.
In the early days, right? The technology needs time to develop. It's a question of output volume you have, it's a question of market penetration you have, etc., etc. So there are many factors. So that's why I'm very careful to compare it. I like to see it in a way that we are looking on the output which comes out of the system. And at the moment we are around 600,000 kilowatt hours output of the 200 kilowatt kite per year. That is the double what you can do, or more than the double what you can do with solar. And we are aiming end of this year, we are aiming to 800,000 kilowatt hours a year with these kites. And then we have to look into the levelized cost of energy. As I mentioned earlier, here we are at the moment around 20 to 25 US cent per kilowatt hour. But with the design of the bigger kites and with more volume and more penetration in the markets, we are coming down also with the production cost of the system.
Okay.
Our goal is to be at least in the range where we are right now with the traditional wind turbines, somewhere between 4 or 5 US cent per kilowatt hour. That's where we have to go. That is the path we have to go.
Okay. It sounds a little bit high, but I guess you have to balance it off with you know the possibilities of where you could deploy these things.
Exactly.
Yeah?
We are talking at the moment, when we are talking about remote applications, the levelized cost of energy, taking the classical way, produced with diesel gensets, diesel plants, we are talking about 1.5 or even more USD per kilowatt hour. And at that point, exactly, we are more than competitive.
Right.
And that is where we need to talk about, that the government or whoever is financing this, coming down with the costs for the energy.
Right. And what is your typical pitch, I mean, to clients? So obviously it's from the wind, it doesn't need, you know, it's not subject to the volatility of fuel prices, right? But what are the major hurdles? Of course, there's the buying cost, right? How does maintenance compare to the other options that we're looking at? And how long does the system typically last before you have to build a new system?
Okay. As you know, I'm a German.
Yeah.
We German engineers try to make things forever.
Okay.
So the design life, to start with that first, the design life is about 20 to 25 years.
Okay.
Touching that point of maintenance, very important. when it is well maintained. Maintenance and these systems mean that we have to look for the moving parts, for the electromechanical parts in the ground station, but that is basic maintenance, greasing, checking vibrations of the bearings, such kind of things. We are looking into the power electronics, reading out the events, checking if there is anything which may need an action, but basically it's a quite low maintenance design.
Okay.
So that even local people here can maintain it, who have a background in electromechanical engineering, and with a team here in the Philippines, which we will also provide with the spare parts stock, so that we can keep the availability of the system as high as possible.
Right. The kite itself, I mean, can you talk about that? Is that something that's made out of a material that's easily sourced, or is it a special invention of SkySails?
It is a fabrics which you typically are using, like in parachutes.
Okay, it's like a big parachute.
It is of course there's some special development on top. We learned about this texture of fabrics of this material from our earlier days when we developed kites for propulsion systems for ships.
Okay.
Pulling cargo ships, pulling tankers over the oceans.
Okay.
And that material you found its way also in the power segment. So to answer your question in regards to the maintenance of this equipment, the kite itself, according to our data we have so far, we would change every 1.5 years.
Okay.
And another part of the system, which is the tether, the connection from the kite to the ground station, we recommend to change it once a year.
Right.
Yeah.
But is that a substantial cost, or is it minimal compared to, I mean, the overall investment?
That is not at the moment clearly defined internally, but it should be a kind of a package we offer.
Okay.
Where these kind of costs for a certain period of time, definitely for the warranty terms, but maybe also longer, will be covered with a buying price.
Right. And are you? You said you were working in Mauritius, and I'm sure you're selling this to other countries as well. Is SkySails working with its clients and sourcing maybe some financing to develop this, or is that something in the works?
Yes,
or?
We are also in discussions with different external financing, let's say, people.
Okay.
But we also can look into our internal solutions like build, own, operate, so that the system will be installed from us. We operate the system and we are selling the energy.
I see.
To refinance the system. And after a certain period of time, the customer can buy it, or we take it out and sell it in a different location.
I see. And what is the likely, arrangement that may happen here in the Philippines? Is it an outright buy from the customer, or is it more of the BOT, or do you even have a preference on what would be better for SkySails?
Well, from my experience from the solar times, it is quite often asked, can we have a financing solution, or how can we get a part of it, or you get a part of the financing solution? It's a wild field we can talk about. So we have really to look into the expectations.
Right.
We have to look what can we offer from our end, or how do we bring an external local bank or foreign investor.
Right.
So there are plenty of solutions to find a financial solution.
Right. And in the projects you've done, do you have an estimate on how long it will take to recover the investment, the payback period?
Well.
You said that the lifespan of the system is
25
quite
years.
long, right?
Yes. Well, we are looking, of course, everybody's looking for
the shortest
ROIs, right? Return of investments. I would say when you have a ideal configuration of financing and equity, etc., somewhere around 7 years, 8 years.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
And then going back to what I was asking earlier, what is the reception been like? Are you? Because people in the Philippines talk about, the ease of doing business, but there is a lot of interest on the renewables. But are you feeling that? Are you feeling that it's easier now for you guys to introduce this kind of technology, which we obviously need, right?
Yes.
Or are there other hurdles that, that the relatively new government should look at, maybe to clear the way for you and maybe have more systems set up here?
Of course, we have also our showstoppers.
Yeah.
Especially the bureaucracy in this country, which is quite often too long for us to get really the permissions and the certifications we need to start the system. You need to know when we have a kite in the air, we need to take care for the air traffic control. We need to have a permission to operate in that area where we are based. But also all these things with DENR, with let's say, even getting a company founded here and established here in the country.
It's difficult, yeah.
It is difficult. Thanks God, that is a good thing to say, that renewable companies now can be 100% foreign ownership. That makes things easier also for an investor to step in, because you say, okay, then I'm secured. I do not need to have a share with a local, and I have full control of the concept and the financing. That makes things easier for us. But still, there are many rocks on the road we need to take aside to make business easier and to develop it faster here in regards to renewable energy bringing in.
Well, yeah, I hope it's smooth sailing for you from here on.
Thanks.
We'll just have to take another quick break. This is SMNI's Business and Politics. We'll be right back.